Welcome to A2 Aesthetics, the Body Show. I'm your host, Rachel Tambo. And today on our show, we have a wonderful lady, Salochanee Reddy. Salochanee is a sparkling soul. You can't help but smile and feel her warmth and compassion when you are in her company. Her serene composure resonates grace and beauty, both internally and externally. An astute businesswoman and a well-sought-after international speaker, she is founder of Equilibrium, a constellation of well-being platforms in South Africa, Kenya, and the Global Village of Hope community. She has spent over a decade on a humanitarian quest, specifically with women, blending integrated counseling and coaching. Can I add that this very strong and resilient woman also holds a PhD in conscious-centered living from the University of Sedona in the States. A very warm welcome, Salochanee Reddy.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. That brought tears to my eyes. Really, it did. It really did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you. Really,
Thank you for being on the show.
And this is such an honor to be here. Firstly, to see how this is going to blossom. And I wish you so much strength with this journey that you're on.
Thank you.
And for A2 as well, and the team. And it's an absolute pleasure for being here to support this phase of your journey, as well as to share Midlife and Blossom, as well as the community that I intend to build.
Wonderful. Salochanee, can I ask you, first of all, this is her book, Midlife and Blossom, which I just read it in one go. You can't put it down. So we're going to chat about this a bit later. But before we get into Midlife and Blossom, I just wanted to ask you, Salochanee, you're deeply rooted in the mind-body connection. Please expand it.
Okay, the only way I can explain this to you is, or the simple way for understanding is when you say, I have that gut feeling, what is really going on in your body at that time? Or what is going on in your mind? So often we say we have this gut feeling, but what really is going on? And we often like to say, okay, I think we just use it as a cliche term or a phrase, but there's obviously something going on in your mind. So for me, that as simply explained is mind-body connection. I can go on into the highfalutin way of explaining this and scientific ways, but if we say we have that gut feeling, there's also something going on in your emotional side and in your mind.
So when you have that gut feeling, believe it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Literally go into what's going on. There's something going on internally, physically, and obviously emotionally and externally. So whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear, whether it's anger, if it's happiness, there's always that. And you feel it in your gut. And you feel it in your heart as well. But I mean, how often when we feel our hearts fluttering and it's all over the place, there's different ways of feeling it as well. But I think the most relatable thing is the gut.
Super. Can I just ask you, you're a very successful businesswoman. Did this come naturally?
Success. We're going to talk about success later, right? Actually, to think of it did come naturally to me. I remember when I was like 14 years old, and it was pre-1994, and I was at the Indian government schools back in Shakras where I resided. And there was this National Small Business Development Corporation, SBDC, I think it was called at that time, that they had school competitions for, I think it was a commerce department or something of that sort. And I did enter this competition through this commerce department, and I won the national competition at 14 years old. And it was a simple concept from like sketching diagrams, some pencil diagrams of somebody in the factory, and then just giving some conception around it. And now when I look at it, it was my first vision board as such, literally. I really have to see it from, we talk vision boards and all of that. And I did win like an IBM computer. It was like a big thing at that time. 1992, this was 14. And later on, obviously studied commerce and afterwards and did get into it, but it didn't come naturally. I'm now in business for about 20 years. I've had about 4 different startups over the years. And yeah, I think it just naturally comes to me from a vision that actually.
Fantastic. But can I just also ask you, as a mum, how do you manage to be a mum and a businesswoman? I know your kids are still older now, but they're still your kids.
The kids will always be kids, right? My kids are adults now, so it was not easy. It was not easy. You know, at a given point, it was, I was juggling like 5 different actions at once. I was literally cooking dinner, and I was having emails, the laptop was opened, and then you're getting phone calls, and then you're also administering homework at the same time. And at that space, it was like, there's no real presence in that space. Now when I look back, this was like 15 years ago, so. And you're juggling all of these crystal balls, right? And it's not an easy journey. And it did lead to burnout. And I think I acknowledged it in 2010 that I was burnt out after like 6 years of doing that spiel, I would call it. But I'd say it's a fulfilling journey, but also a very tiring journey. And I think we see this a lot more in our careers with women in business, where you'll find them being around for a while and then they disappear and they don't sustain it. So it's not sustainable. And now when I look back, my sustainability is literally to find that balance. And funny enough, all my businesses have had the word equilibrium as part of it. It's a massive juggling act.
But maybe just talking about that burnout situation, because when I was going through your CV, I just went to the end, the PhD.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I can see from 2010, could we talk about your credentials a bit? Because I know that you went to go and train in India as well. Was that under the Chopra learnings?
Yes, so I trained in India for more the body practices, so it was more the Eastern philosophies. So my actual PhD and Deepak Chopra certifications was actually in the US because he was based in the US. So I'm certified with Dr. Deepak Chopra's, it's called the Chopra certification, and that's to teach meditation and to teach and to facilitate the Perfect Health program. Which is basically encompasses Ayurvedic lifestyle. And my PhD itself was with the University of Sedona. And that was like a 6-year journey as part of everything else that was happening and building the businesses as well. I think I'm just equipped to always have that additional, injection. I think it inspires me as well to have the not so much for the credentials of it, but it sparks that interest, that intrigue, and also the international communities and that you start to lean towards. And I've completed I think it was in 2018, my PhD, and that's centered around conscious-centered living.
How fascinating. I just wanted to ask you, could you just elaborate a bit more on the Ayurvedic style of living? Because we are in this sort of conundrum within Eastern philosophies and Western philosophies. Mind-body connection, what the West sees as mind-body connection as opposed to the more spiritual side of things is, disattached.
Okay, so when we see Eastern, we call it the spiritual side. It's actually a holistic side of things. It's not, and this is the words and the perceptions of it. Eastern doesn't necessarily mean spiritual. It's the whole body. And when you look at the Western side of things, it's very compartmentalized, very Western. I love Western medicine because it's progressive right now in the last 10 years. It's progressive that they've integrating both the Eastern philosophies into it and seeing the integrative approach towards a whole body. Yes, we're not going to, it's a whole different conversation to have around the Western medicine and how it's, there's a legal aspect to it, right? We won't want to go into that. But just going back to what you're saying, what your question is around Eastern philosophies, I think the correction is it's not just the spiritual aspect. It's a whole body. So the whole body is your mind, your emotions, okay, and the physical body. And the spirit side of things is just a small part of it, because which is uplifted when your mind and your body isn't, and the emotions is actually flowing. Then you find your spiritual side uplifted or lower. That's how you connect the dots.
Your book, Midlife and Blossom. Why? What was the need to write?
Okay,
I'm glad you did.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a 10 years in making, and it was my own journaling that of years, from my own perspective, my inner ramblings, my own journey, as well as seeing the connectivity with other women that I was coaching over the years, and that whether these women were in Africa, whether they were in, from different economic backgrounds, the common threads were there. And for me, it was the relatability, and you would see in each chapter there's that relatability aspect that is part of the whole book, and I wanted to share that. And I think we're in a space where we literally put that pause in our life, because we could either literally, apart from us going into menopause as well, which is a separate thing, but we can either put that pause, or we can, which is required really, to see where to from here. And in my own life, a lot of my areas of my life came to a pause. So I was forced to do it. From having body illnesses to empty nest syndrome to, obviously COVID happened as well. There was a lot of endings in that phase. My career was going through a different transition. So I saw it as a great time now to actually put this, because there's others that need to also share this journey.
Fantastic. It is a great read. I just love this one quote from your book, which I thought was absolutely famous. And you wrote there, so this is the protagonist saying this. Women over 40 are expected to hold up the world and their breasts with the same level of suffering. Well, I'm done. I am done with scaffolding. If men had to wear underwire, Victoria's Secret would have been shut down for human rights violations years ago.
Yeah, I think we all just, the first thing that as women we can relate to is actually when we get home, we want to remove that bra, right? But we don't see the tongue-in-cheek behind it. Literally, you are being this pretentious space or holding yourself up in those spaces where you had to literally pump yourself up. So for me, that's the scaffolding. And literally, I think it was one day when I came back and I'm like, saw it as that literal construct of the wire and all of that. Anyway, it's my very visual mind coming to life sometimes. Yeah, but I think for too long we've been in the space where we needed to show that we're not honoring our body for what we are. Using the bras, it's there. I still need to go into the history of why we use bras, but it's a fantastic way of saying that we've chosen this way to show ourselves, and we're not honoring who we are. And this was really a metaphor of us putting ourselves up there and saying, yes, when we come back, we can also remove our bra and be who we are. That kind of thing. Yes, we do need to, in a public space, pump yourself up in a different way. And yes, we've got a physical thing that we put on to do it. Yeah.
So. Oh, fantastic. So within the book, Clara has a change of life. This is the protagonist. And she starts a blog called Midlife Muse. which she doesn't quite know how to do. So she has to Google how to start a blog. So yeah, very relatable at 50 years old. But there was this beautiful little section from the book I'd like to just relate to as well. And it says, the blinking cursor on Clara's laptop screen isn't just a technical feature. It's a metaphor for hesitation, uncertainty, and the daunting process of reinvention. It blinks, waiting for her to take action, to fill the void with something meaningful. Your reflection on that?
For many women in midlife, but I think it's not just women in midlife. I think it's for humans going through transitions. We a turning point, and the word transitions as well can be so overloaded right now. Okay, so it's a turning point of your life, and for me, that cursor represents, when you're seeing that cursor on the screen, when you're in that, having something that's loading in your phone as well, if there's no physical cursor. It's between the two worlds, between what's actually happened and what's going to happen. There's this in between. And I see that flashing points. That's there. And it's that space where the doubt creeps in. We can either close this or we can actually fill that space. And that cursor is that moment where we choose how we want to fill that space. And the cursor doesn't judge us. We are judging ourselves. And we are our own inner critic, right? I mean, doing what we do, we're always going to have those. We're asking ourselves. And the next sentence is basically, how do we fill that blank space? We should be asking. Or do we want to close this?
No, absolutely. And then you also go on to say, and maybe the real definition of success, the freedom to choose what fulfills you, even if it terrifies you.
It's very terrifying. Every step is a terrifying stage. And it's a freedom. So I think let's go back to how I personally define success at this phase. For me now, the definition of success is not about the titles and the money and where you are speaking and whether you've launched a book or, yes, it's good that I've created it, but I'm not. It's not me. It's an extension of who I am. For me, the real freedom, the real success is the freedom to actually to create these opportunities for myself and for others. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the traditional way of education, and which we've all done. Okay, I mean, I'm for years been following a different path as well, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with having the family and the responsibilities and the career and the material wealth and the travel and all of those things. So it just comes back to, when you're doing this stuff on the material world, are you really internally feeling the joy? And that joy needs to come from a freedom of what you feel.
No, I'm just saying the book is very insightful, and I just love the way that after each chapter, you sum up signs, meanings, themes, constantly running through how it relates to different. It's beautiful, beautiful. Moving back onto womanhood, especially menopause, turning 50, and life after divorce. How's it going?
Okay, each of those has its own milestone, right? Okay, and it's so layered, and somehow it also intertwines and weaves into your whole life, right? So for many women, that's going through divorce and going through menopause and going through that womanhood and the motherhood change. I think it really reflects a lot about what's going on with you internally. It's that space, okay, how am I going to really handle this? Because for years you go through life and you don't, I mean, for example, if you take menopause, for years you go through life and you don't really take care of yourself. And then menopause happens and what the heck has happened? And it's really telling you to slow down, just to look at what your body's teaching you. Right? So that for me, from a menopause point of view, turning 50 or almost 50, that's also a beautiful transition for me, going to soon.
Sorry, I was going to say, then I'll welcome you to the club.
Then you can welcome me to the club. Yeah, it's a different threshold. I think it's just for me. I'm never going to stop being young. My outlook in life is young. I've had my kids young as well. So it's not going to change anything for me. I've never been that way of age. It's just that cliche phase is a number. Yes, it is. For me, my outlook of life and living my life to the fullest has always been there. And from a divorce perspective, I think, many women are going through these different perspectives, right? Sharing different sides of their stories and their personal relationships. Personal relationships is not just divorcing from your partner, but it affects your family, it affects your social circles, it affects your children, it affects a larger space of things. And I think the way it's been done before is you don't coexist. And for me, it's about changing this and coexisting in that space of because we carry a lot of resentment around the experiences around it, right? Because it's painful. Those things and things that have been close to your heart are painful experiences. And I think we need to shift this and say, yes, the pain is there, but the pain is there to help us through this. But we can't sit in that pain. Because that pain body is literally causing pain in your body physically.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big part of a lot of women's growth right now, especially when you hit that 40 and you're finding that relationship of everything is changing with your children, with your spouse. Everything that you loved before is annoying you because everything does annoy you because your hormonal system's also going through a different thing, right? So it's a lot of those things, and we shouldn't be acting out. We shouldn't, the whole thing about you reach midlife and it's a crisis and you need to act out. No, it's not that. It's really about acting in. It's not acting out, it's acting in. And that acting in should be around how can I change this differently?
This is one of the things in your book, Reinvention. And what you said, or Clara said, the protagonist, reinvention is not always loud. Sometimes it is in the small, everyday choices that reshape life. Love isn't just about relationships. It is about the way you learn to stand on your own and feel whole. Not every empty space needs to be filled. Some are meant to stay open, to make room for what's coming next.
Those themes felt right. And I think a lot of it is a lot of words around the whole book. The themes felt right as the right way to close because midlife isn't about finishing the story. It's about allowing that space for a new chapter to unfold, for that blossoming of that's happening because blossoming is really happening right now. We're choosing our life to start. And just to close on that, we're never going to have a finished story. It's always going to be blossoming.
I love that analogy. May I just ask in closing, we all get older, we're all mortal. What are your thoughts on aging, and especially this aesthetic aspect of it, where people are living longer because they're healthier? And, there's this analogy that you want to look as young as you feel. Your thoughts on it?
Absolutely. Love that you said look as young as you feel, because It's really an internal perspective. And for me, I would share, when we are looking at this, I personally have I don't have any judgment around aesthetics or any of the practices that's out there. I think we need to ask why we do it more than anything else. Why are we doing it? Is it because you're not comfortable in your body for self-esteem and you need to just pump yourself up for confidence level? So is it an internal why, or is it an external why? The external why could be to keep out the society, to see what's the current trend, the discomfort. Also, there's also a health aspect to this as well. So there's the internal, going back to, yes, if you need to have certain procedures, are you doing it from a health perspective? So I would say we can't continue doing what we're doing because we do need to live longer. I think our life threshold right now is like 70 years. I think we're reaching more than that. I mean, that's a lot. I don't know our brain capacity is going to be at that stage to handle that 70 years, but the body's going to look great, okay? So that's fantastic. I think, with neuroscience and all of the work that we're doing, inner work that we're doing, it is going to actually match eventually. I think it's fantastic that we keep doing that, but we should always know the why.
So I love that analogy, because if I could just go back a bit, you're basically saying that aesthetics and surgery are the bra straps of women.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, get that.
Good. Thanks for tying it in that way. I can see it from that perspective. Okay, the bra thing is
your sequel.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
And lastly, what would be your advice to someone watching now that wants to change their life midlife?
I think this is, I think start now. Start where you are and start now with, we always go into this, why did we do things, and the questions. Yes, they're always going to be there. But if you keep going into the past, we're never going to move forward. So be in the present right now and start where you're at. And the answers to your past will come to you. And that healing will come to you for that you need that healing. But start in the present moment and, start with simple practices. Find your own practice. And for me, Midlife in Blossom is that. So it's not just a book. It's going forward for me is to create this platform. And it's a global platform in the sense of having virtual events, having conversations, continuing this, and find your circle, find your support, whether it's one person, whether you have 10 people in your circle, but start somewhere and just keep reaching out. And don't stop learning. Don't stop learning about yourself and others and relating yourself to others.
Wise words. Thank you so much. Just for our viewers out there, where can they get Midlife in Blossom?
Okay, if for South Africa, it's in Takealot on paperback as well as the ebook. I think in about 6 weeks' time, it will be available in stores, in exclusive books and all of the other bookstores physically. And this is also available on Amazon as well, and Apple Books. And I'm still getting used to all of these different bookstores. It's a whole world, another world that I'm getting used to. But you can go onto my website and you'll find it on www.midlifeinblossom.com. And I think there's about 10 different bookstores that you could get it in.
Wonderful. I really appreciate your time. Salochanee, it's been a pleasure.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rachel.
Absolutely. And to our viewers, keep living your best life. I'm Rachel Tambo. Thank you for watching.